Yeah. We're going to go quick interviews just so you meet everybody here. Rick, how you doing?
I'm doing very well this morning. How are you, George?
I'm great. I wrote about you last night. Don't take that the wrong way. I wrote about your father. I wrote about pipelines. I wrote about uranium. I wrote about Navy intelligence. I wrote about Iran. I wrote about Morocco. What did I miss? I wrote about you being in a baby carriage next to McGeorge Bundy's baby.
Okay.
In Georgetown, of all places, not especially known for not being the deep state, or in other words, deep state's central.
Mm-hmm. Well, the part about my parents being at JFK's
inaugural
ball, because they campaigned for him in Massachusetts, and they flew down to DC for that. And then at the time when Kennedy was killed, we lived in DC, and I interviewed my sister last week, and she said that she and my older brother were at the procession for JFK's memorial. I was probably at home in a baby carriage because I was about 7 months old, and there was an issue where my dad had a big deal with the SBA, Small Business Administration, that was like a lot of money, and the minute Kennedy was killed, that project was canceled, and it caused pain in the marriage, and that and other reasons. My parents were some of the early incidences of divorce in the 60s and everything. But yeah, I was around Washington, D.C. and as a kid, and I was totally naive to all of it. But I do remember the day King was assassinated, and my mom was like, "What's coming to this world?" And there's probably, excuse me, a lot that are still missing, because for me it's a kind of a mystery, just like Gary has stuff about his dad in the Bay of Pigs, and he's researching. Your dad had invented the cordless phone, and there's a lot of curiosity there. And McDuff, his dad, there's just stuff we're trying to learn, because a lot has been hidden from us, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. And I don't even know why I'm following such expert stuff, because I'm kind of here as and once I'm outside of music, I'm essentially a student who's just trying to learn stuff.
Well, I want to tell you, the chapter I wrote about you is called Father Knows Best, which is a lot of times some great information comes from the fathers of these people who are fighting the deep state. We can learn a lot from people who were within the system, who had the top secret knowledge, that were trying to fight the deep state, like your dad, like McDuff, like all these folks that we're talking to, which is why I wrote the chapter, is to help other people realize, hey, if these people have passed away now, we can still go to their kids, their daughters, their sons, and maybe get some information. You mentioned the Kennedy inaugural. The same time your dad is oiling around the floor there, dancing and bumping occasionally into Jackie and Jack, right? Bob Mayhew is down in New Orleans buying the trucks, buying those Bolton Fords, those Ford trucks, and Tom's going to tell us all about it. Yeah, because we went there. And with David Ferry, he's getting David Ferry all set up in all those safe houses, and they're buying the trucks for Bay of Pigs, because they're launching. Bob Mayhew's down there, Howard Hughes' personal assistant. And the incredible thing is they use Lee Harvey Oswald's name. Tell me there's not foreknowledge there. Of all the people I could use their name to buy trucks for Bay of Pigs, why am I using Lee Harvey Oswald's name if I'm not going to set him up someday, right? The same exact time. I'm talking about the same time they're bumping into each other, Jackie and Jack, your mom and dad, Bob Mayhew's buying those trucks. And that's the thing that I love about this, right, is it all comes together when we come together, and all these stories make sense, and they all dovetail into each other.
Yeah, it's a big learning experience for me. And
were you in the womb at that time? There was the bumpage. Do you think you may have bumped into Jackie and Jack that night?
No, my brother was.
Maybe your brother bumped it.
My brother was born about a month after you, so do the math on that. I'm not sure, but
yeah, because 61 I would have been about 2 months old, so maybe your brother was, well, he was probably just out.
Yeah, I don't have the exact timeline, so I don't want to.
Maybe they bumped into each other at the Bay of Pigs inaugural, preparation ball.
pretty much.
Were they in, just to get this off, were they in New Orleans during the purchase of any trucks at all, to your knowledge? Any Ford trucks?
No New Orleans connections that I know, but my sister was born at Fort Belvoir in 1957, which is some metadata for trying to figure out what they're doing, which is probably,
Well, see, now your dad, when he was going for uranium, potentially in Morocco, because phosphate's a precursor to uranium, Fort Belvoir was one of the first places that they were working on portable reactors, field reactors for the Army, right? And then our good friend Bill Taylor's dad, that's what he was doing at Fort Belvoir. So he was working on the ones that go on a ship, a cruiser. Of course, they had a whole different program for Rickover and the nuclear sub, but then they also had one that they could drop for a field station for portable power. This is all nuclear war type thinking. So I'm thinking, about FOIAs now for your dad,
Yeah, I'd like to send in some. There's one FOIA that I came in possession of when he died, because I'm the one in the family who's interested in this kind of stuff. People generally didn't talk about it that much. And all my mom had said about the Morocco thing was my dad was sticking pins in maps. But there is a FOIA my dad sent out for, and I mentioned the other day of why he didn't get accepted to USAID, which we said was probably a good thing. But there was derogatory information. Some of it may have been actually true, but there was also, it seemed like there was an element of somebody was kind of keeping him out and preventing him from what he was perfectly qualified for. And it's still a mystery. Now, I would like to send out for some more FOIAs on several other topics about that. One of the things I was wondering what was happening in Greece in the mid 70s, around the time I went there on his movie exploration shoot. And I started to look that up. And I do plan on sending out for some FOIAs, so stay tuned. It'll probably take a little time to get them.
Well, you probably wouldn't do bad to start with Papadopoulos, not the one you all know from the Crossfire Hurricane, but the one who was deposed by the CIA as running the country, who then magically shows up with weapons in Greece, in a different part of Greece, Thessalonica, where the Papadopoulos family, then George, comes from later, and also just happens to fund the Turks to invade the island of Cyprus, and then later on involved in weapons again with the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's how George Papadopoulos speaks that beautiful lilting Arabic for the Muslim Brotherhood. Isn't that an interesting kettle of fish? Well, Rick, I got to interview everyone here, so I'm going to say thank you very much. And are you enjoying yourself here?
I'm enjoying myself very much. Thank you.
Music on the patio tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, you were great last night. I even had to sing. He played Brown Eyed Girl. I had to sing.
Well, yeah, really awesome.
All right, you can say another day. All right, we're going to